Hey, welcome back. So actually, I feel like I did a good job yesterday talking about what I liked about the improv class. I don't have to talk about it too much more. I have a lot of other notes I could talk about too. And Dalton asked me a good question today about hell. So maybe I'll try to get to that this week. Just had a couple tiny notes about improv, but then that's it, I promise. So this is a thing I've talked about before, which is when I was younger, I think a big problem I had was it seemed like whenever I talked to anybody, my eyes would start getting red. I know a lot of people talk about like they had social anxiety because they would blush a lot. Well, that didn't happen to me, but my eyes would always get red, and then people would be like, "Oh, are you crying?" And then that's like, God. So that's why I didn't talk, I think. One of the reasons that contributed to that. I used to think that had nothing to do with anxiety. I don't know. I mean, at some point, who cares? But I feel like it's over now because I went to the improv class, and that would be a situation where my eyes would like water and it would be very uncomfortable. Did not happen. It happened once, but it was actually because it was kind of an emotional situation because after we did the scene that I mentioned yesterday, where we were in, like me and the other guy were doing a scene where we were in a coffee shop. I told the teacher, like, I really like that. Like, I want to get better at that because I didn't do a good job with it. I want to talk about that too, like why I didn't do a good job. I was really bad at doing that, obviously. And so I told him that, like, I really like doing this game, but like I want to get better at it. I'm not good at it right now, and I want to keep like trying to get better. And he was like, "You're really hard on yourself. Like, you did fine. It was fine." And that's when I started tearing up. I always tear up with like when people are too nice to me, because I'm like, oh. He was like, and then he was like asking the other people, like, "See, Anthony was fine, right? He did a good job." And I'm like starting to tear up now. But that's like normal. What used to happen to me was not normal. It was like, "Hey, how's the weather?" And then I would start, like, my eyes would... Actually, the comforting thing, the only, like, kind of silver lining about your eyes always watering was that, like, people are like, "I just asked you about the weather. He couldn't possibly be crying about that, right?" So they would think it would be something else, and I would be like, "Oh, I have allergies, or I have a cold, or something." And they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, it has to be that, because he can't be crying because I asked him about the weather." But it doesn't happen anymore, really. Which I thank Jesus for every day, because it was the biggest kind of... It's hard for me to even remember how big of a thing it was for me. In high school, I think that was the big thing. Why I never talked to anybody in high school. A lot of reasons. But I think the eye-watering thing was a big one. Doesn't happen anymore. I think probably therapy. Like doing therapy every week for the past, it's been like 3 years or something. I've gotten comfortable, I guess, just talking about stuff and doing this for 3 years. I don't know, maybe I could beat this game. I was worried about it, but I'm doing okay. I'm getting better. Here I am, getting older all the time. I was just listening to that song from Tony Hawk. But getting younger in my mind. That's enough about the improvery. But what's my note? Oh, don't die, don't die. Oh, jump, jump. Gonna make you jump, jump. Oh, those guys are super guys, I think. They have shields. I'm gonna die. Get back here. Oh. I gotta find my next note. We want to talk about hell? Let's just talk about hell. Okay, Dalton, you happy now? No, I thank you for giving me topics. It's very helpful. I mean, you know that. You're my most helpful friend. Hell. What do I think? Well, I did go to Bible study this week, and I probably had some notes about that, because we talked about... Well, I could kind of mix this in. Maybe I'll mix this in today, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, if I don't have time. They're everywhere, man. Game over, man. We were talking about like predestination and stuff, which is an interesting topic. I didn't really have much to add, but I want to talk about it here to talk it through. Hell, I don't know. I don't know. Does hell exist? I have no idea. I think so the Christian viewpoint is that like hell kind of has to exist because everyone lives forever. God gives us all souls, and souls are eternal. So when you die, your soul can't be destroyed, so it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? Christians believe that if you believe in Jesus, oh boy, here he comes, you'll go to heaven. These guys aren't too hard. When it's just one of them, you can get around them. And I know the trick of the hit him in the back. Okay. You can't hit him in the front. It doesn't do anything. So a Christian believes that heaven is a perfect place that no human on earth deserves to go to because we all sin, right? And heaven can't have sin because God's there and God can't be around sin. So the only way to get to heaven is to have this kind of mediator in Jesus, and Jesus takes your sin, but only if you believe in him, right? You have to ask him to forgive you of your sins, and he does. Then you go to heaven. Because when you die, you're, I don't know, like sanctified or whatever, and you become able to be around God because Jesus takes your sins. But if you reject Jesus, you can't go to heaven. Your soul can't go to heaven because it's tainted. And screw you. You go with the gnashing of teeth forever. So that's kind of the Heaven 101 theology of a Christian, I feel like. Do I believe that? Like, I guess if you put a gun to my head, fine. In my perfect world, if I was God, I wouldn't make a hell. Seems kind of stupid to put people on earth who never asked for it, and then say, if you don't follow these rules, it's just not fair to me. It would be fair if we knew that God existed and we had a real choice to be like, okay, here's the choice. You can sin as much as you want on earth, do whatever you want. Once you die, you go to hell forever. Or you become a Christian and you try not to sin. You can sin, but just try not to. And when you sin, ask for forgiveness. And if you do that, then you'll go to heaven. If we knew up front that those were the terms, then that would be a fair game to play and be like, okay, make your decision. But we don't know. There's no way of knowing if God is real and that those are the actual rules. So that makes it not fair to me. Because people are playing a game and they don't even know that they're playing it. It's not fair. If they knew the game, then they would play it differently. Most people would probably take that bet. And say, okay, I'll be a Christian. But since there's no way to know, the only thing I thought of before is like, what if before you come to Earth, God does like, he does ask you. He asks your soul or whatever, your consciousness, and we just don't remember it, but this is the only way that it would be okay for me. Before we come to Earth, he asks you, I'm going to send you to Earth, and I'm going to erase your memories, but you get to experience what it's like to be on Earth. If you don't end up following me, you go to hell forever. Like, this is the risk you're taking. But if you do, you get to go to heaven. Doesn't really make sense because you'd think that the soul was already in heaven, so why would it want to go back to Earth? I don't know. Maybe it thinks like, oh, Earth seems kind of cool. Are you tracking any of this? Is this making any sense? It makes sense to me. Like my soul, God asked my soul before I came to Earth, do you want to go to Earth? And here's the game you play. If you follow me, you get to go to heaven. If you don't, you go to hell. And you're like, I really want to experience Earth so much that I'm willing to take that bet. He got me. Freaking guy got me. That's the only way that it's okay, because I don't think otherwise, I don't think a just God would create a hell. It doesn't make sense for me to create people and just like be like, okay, you're on your own down there, and hey, if you don't end up following Jesus, you go to hell forever. But then I don't want to play this game. I don't want to exist if that's the rule. To not give people the choice, it doesn't seem fair. So maybe hell exists and God is just kind of a jerk, which is possible. But I hope it's not true. Here's what I hope. And no Christian will tell you that this is how it works. When you die, you get a final choice. If heaven is real, if you, like, when you die, Jesus comes to you or whatever. I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but he's like, okay, one last chance. Do you want to believe in me or not? Because I can get you into heaven. I'm real. This is happening. Death, heaven, hell, it's all real. The devil. I understand, like, you didn't believe when you were down there because it was, like, a crazy thing. Like, this guy, Jesus, existed, and, like, I get it. You didn't believe. So I'm giving you one last chance. Believe in me, and I'll let you in to heaven. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And so obviously Jesus can't tell us that, because then when we were on Earth, we would just do whatever we wanted and be like, oh, we'll get a last chance at the end. So that's why he didn't tell us that that's how it works. But I think if I was God, that's how I would do it. That's one of the ways I would do it. Honestly, I think if I was God, I would reveal myself to the people and be like, what's up? I'm real. This is happening. I can prove it. I can make the sky turn to fire. Like, whatever you want to prove it, I'll prove it to you. God's real. Okay, here's why I put you here. Here's the game. That's what I would do if I was God, I think. I put you here because the universe is an amazing place and I wanted somebody to experience it. I wanted to create a universe because I'm God and, like, I don't know why I was created. I don't know what I'm doing here. Who created me? I don't know. I have existential crises all the time. So I was bored one day. I created the universe, but nobody was around to appreciate it. Like, I created these galaxies and these stars and they were awesome, and I created joy and love and puppies and chocolate, and nobody was around to appreciate it. So my brilliant idea was to create consciousness and beings that could appreciate what I created. So that's it. That's the whole thing. And guess what? There's a part 2. When you die, you actually have I created a soul within all conscious beings that makes them capable of joining me after they die. Pretty cool, right? The only problem is I'm perfect, so if you sin, you can't get up here. But guess what? I'm going to send somebody down there to solve this problem. His name's Jesus. He's going to take your sins away. All you have to do is ask him for forgiveness, and you'll get to heaven. If I was God, that's how I would play it, I think. I don't know. How much different would the world be if that's how it worked? I don't know. See you tomorrow. Bye.